This is a medical device that is used by doctors to evaluate the body's circulatory system. It consists of this transducer, which uses ultrasound, specifically transmit and receive crystal, and it measures the Doppler shift between the transmit signal and the received signal, which results from the blood flow. This one specifically is at 8 MHz. The resulting Doppler shift, which is in this case is audible, is then amplified by this amplifier unit, and the doctor can hear this shift, and he can also record it in a waveform and assess the state of the circulatory system he examines at the moment. The problem with this unit was that it had a very weird behavior, which when it was turned on, it offered the output of the transducer intermittently, and it was very weird because even if you shook the cable, because the first thing that came to my mind when this problem appeared is that it was something wrong with the cable. It didn't seem to fix it. It was just random, or I tried to move it, like shake it around, and it didn't help either. First, I decided to test the speaker unit by itself. First, I traced out this connection. It has 3 connections. I assume that one is for the audio signal, and the other 2 are for power, ground and VCC. Ground, of course, the ground and the power connections are easy to trace. Just measure using a multimeter the continuity to find the ground, and it's obvious that the ground starts from the battery terminal and traces all around the board. And just measure also the approximately 9 volts on the other connection, so we only are left with the third signal, which is the actual audio signal trace. Then I just adjust the function generator to produce a sound signal at very low settings, because I don't want to destroy the amplifier. And let's test the speaker. I just turn it on, and so the speaker unit seems okay. Before messing around with the transducer, I tested again the cable, and it turns out that the problem is actually, as the first assumption, in the cable. As you can see, I'm in continuity mode here, and by just playing around with the part here, it's very intermittent. The connection is interrupted somewhere along the cable, and maybe it's somewhere around here. So this explains the weird behavior. So I cut the piece of cable that had the problem, and now there is constantly continuity. No problem. So now I have to find out where its cable goes into the connector. It's a limo connector, so it's shielded, and because the ground is short-circuited in the board with the shield, the easiest signal to trace is ground. So you can see here, we know this is ground, this is connector. The other 2, one is the power line, and the other is the analog output, the audio output from the sensor. I assume that this is the analog output. Why? Because it has the point for the limo connector to work. It's an arbitrary assumption, and I will not be based on it to connect the cables, because I don't want to destroy this. So I will disassemble it and I'm gonna figure out which of those two pins is the signal pin, the audio signal pin. So I have the ground in this pin, which is in the connector, and will be one of the traces that go along the whole PCB. This, in this case, is this one, and I assume that the power line will be another trace that goes throughout the board to deliver power throughout the board. It's not this, but this is it seems that it goes throughout the entire PCB. So this is also ground. This is also ground. Yeah, I forgot to change the pin. So go to this pin, and what you know, it's the power line, and you see it's in many points here, so it's this line. And ground. So we have ground, the supply, and the audio output signal from the transducer. I have to note here that the process that I followed to trace the voltage line assumed that there was no voltage regulator in this transducer. If a voltage regulator existed, then the approach would be different. The cable was in a really bad shape, so I decided to change it completely and replace it with a new one. Let's see if it works. It seems to work. We're gonna soon find out. It's a bit annoying.